That's a given, though.
Mm. Sorry, I'm having Skittles.
That's all right. I was having Chappies the other day.
Oh, yeah, those were those crisps that you had, wasn't it?
They were great.
Mm.
They're sold out of the plain ones now, and I don't know if I want to go to some of the other ones, because I'm like, those ones are just so good. They're just simple and easy. Like me.
Dorks Down Under.
Right, anyway. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Dorks Down Under, Season 2, Episode 34. 34. This is our 51st episode.
That's pretty good.
51st episode.
That's kind of insane, actually.
So, basically, when we've kept talking about we must be coming up to 50, we have, and we've passed it, and we didn't realise. But anyway.
Oops. That'll teach us.
That'll teach us for actually not paying attention.
So
we are available, ladies and gentlemen,
how did
to
we
watch
get
on
to that
all good
far?
podcasts.
So how did we get that far? That seems like a lot when I thought we were only up to like 30-something.
Well, if you consider it, we were, this time last year, we were flying back from Tasmania.
Oh, that's true.
Last year, if you think about it. Well, a week ago, sort of thing. So we've been going for over a year now as well.
Jesus Christ. You poor people. You've been listening to our bullshit for a year.
Pretty much.
On the plus side, at least we're not going to do our 50th episode live, because we kind of missed that by like 7 episodes.
That, but yes, we want to say much love to everyone who has been following us. We want to say we are available on all good podcast software, and we are available to see our beautiful faces via YouTube, as well as on Spotify, ladies and gentlemen.
That's the best I'm going to do.
Please make sure you do follow us, like, subscribe, share. It all helps. I am noticing now we have Spotify impressions according to our data, so we've actually started getting. We are actually being listened to.
Blimey.
Which is terrifying. In fact, the majority of people are actually searching us out there. This is what's really funny.
Know that we love you dearly, but what the hell is wrong with you?
I literally saw this the other day when I was just fixing my uploads. And I was like, oh, we've got a data analysis on Spotify now. Oh, what's it? Oh, God, people are actually searching us? What is this nonsense? Anyway, we want to say much love to everyone. This is probably going to be a catch-up episode, because technically we skipped a week.
Yes, that was my fault. That was my fault.
You lovely people, but it's not your fault. The fact is that we've come back around to that time of year again where Dez get to go to PAX. And I'm actually looking forward to hearing about it.
It's alright.
It looked to be epic. Some of the things I saw on social media. It looked nuts. So I'm actually really looking forward to hearing all about it, brother.
It was very... I don't know. How was your week first? We'll start with that, and then I just won't talk, and then I'll just shut up, and then I won't talk.
Honestly, my week has been a bit dull. I'm still getting used to my new job, so I have been very busy with that. I had a night stay up in Auckland because there was a meeting, so I got to stay up in Auckland for a night. I got to stay at the Jet Park Hotel.
I don't even know if that sounds fancy.
No, if you live in New Zealand, this is the main hotel that all the people, when they were coming in from flights during the pandemic, they ended up at the Jet Park Hotel.
Oh.
And they would be there for their quarantine.
That's kind of funny.
So, yes. So, it looks like it's had a good paint job since. Sort of thing, and refurb. So,
Really, all they've done is just painted over the COVID. Like, if this paint ever comes off,
it's all right.
We're going to cause another pandemic.
Put a bit of sugar soap on the walls, that'll get rid of it. Job done.
God.
Apart from that, obviously it was a very early start today. But I was up and down at the pub for 8 o'clock this morning to watch the All Blacks play Ireland. Obviously, I am wearing the All Blacks top. I was rooting for Ireland the entire time.
Sure.
They gave a good run. I have to say, it was good watching. But yeah.
Who won? I'm guessing All Blacks?
All Blacks won. It was, 28-24.
So it's a good match.
An Ireland game, for half-time, it was 18-17. It was a good game.
So is that the final, or is there still more to go?
That is quarter-final.
Oh, okay.
So I think England are playing Fiji tomorrow morning.
Go Fiji. Go Fiji.
Honestly, the way Fiji have played, if they were to knock England out, well done.
Well,
because they have been playing phenomenally well.
Well, at work, somebody came around and did like, you pay $10 and it's like a sweep.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, I think the winner gets most of the money. I think the loser, and then the loser gets their money back.
Yeah.
And it was kind of funny because, my boss got Fiji and he's like, oh, this is bullshit. I'm like, Fiji are actually pretty good. I reckon they're the underdogs. I'm like, they're going to come. And then ever since then, he's been obsessed with watching Fiji play.
You know what? I was amazed watching Fiji play. And, they've really stepped up the mark. The fact that when they beat South Africa.
Yeah.
No, they beat Australia.
That's not hard. I reckon me and you could beat Australia at the moment.
But yeah. Sadly, Australia got knocked out before even making the quarters.
That was the weirdest thing. We were talking, and I'm like, in other World Cups and stuff, we've been able to like, okay, yeah, we know this player. In this World Cup, I'm like, if you put all of them in front of me, and then put one dude that wasn't in the team, and said, you pick which one's in the Australian teams, I wouldn't be able to pick one player. Like, I don't know any of them. And, like, before we had some really amazing players, so they may not be household names, but you would have at least heard of them now, I'm like, I would not, you could put 100 people in there, and I probably wouldn't pick them out.
Yeah. No, it is amazing, I think, about it. It was good. It's been good rugby so far, sort of thing. And, I'm looking forward to seeing England. Well, I'll probably wake myself up maybe about an hour before I normally do on a Monday, so I can watch, catch up and see what happened and whatnot. But I am terrified.
Yeah, it is one of those things when your team plays, and you're like, this team has been playing good, and I have a feeling they might win. I want to root for them, but they're going to kick my team out. Damn it.
So apart from that, my week's been very, very chilled. We've had been focusing on my work and trying to get my head round, because obviously it's a very big role for me now, sort of thing. So I've been cracking on with that, and
become a big boy.
We're looking forward to. I've got to do some travelling next month. I get to go down to the South Island, so I'm very much looking forward to that.
That'd be nice. I love the South Island.
I'm even now going to the Cause concert in Christchurch.
The Cause? Oh, that's
the Cause, yes.
I've seen them live, actually. Me and my...
Funnily enough, I will be seeing them live as well.
Yeah, no, me and my first ever girlfriend, she was obsessed with them, and then they one of their songs kind of became our song.
Oh,
and then when they came...
Oh, how sweet!
You think I could tell you which song it is?
Leave me breathless?
I don't know. But that being said, though, they are brilliant live. They are really brilliant live, but I couldn't...
What was the one I was... We played some of their music last night, and I was just like, oh yeah, I totally forgot about this one. What was it? The one I liked was... What Can I Do? And So Young were my two favourites.
Yeah, couldn't tell you. It was 20 years ago. I have no idea.
Aye.
No idea.
But apart from that, the main thing we are focusing on in this house is we are gearing up for Halloween. My favourite time of year.
You just get to eat way too much candy and just be like, yes.
Oh yeah, no, we're having a little, because obviously Halloween falls on like a Tuesday this year.
Oh yeah.
So we're going to have a little party on the weekend, so we can have, Eddie have some of his friends over and stuff like that, and we're, still meeting the neighbours and stuff like that, which is good. So we're going to do that.
Eddie seems to be having a lot of friends over, mate. It sounds like mayhem in your house every weekend.
It generally is mayhem. It generally is mayhem in this house every week. But yeah, so we figured that we'll just do a little party so we can meet the neighbours properly with some of their,
Yeah.
Because we know the kids, but we don't know the adults, some of the adults properly. So it would be a good chance to mingle. So we're going to do that. We're doing it as a Day of the Dead party. So we're going to do, Mexican bites and everything else.
Sugar mass and stuff. Yeah, man, you get that smoker out and do some like whole pork butt and then just shred that up and put that in tacos. And am I just getting way too ahead of myself?
I'm trying to plan my menu.
It's like
what I'm going to do.
Just put avocado with everything.
That week I'm coming back from Auckland that week. So I'm kind of limited on time for what I can do. So I've got to kind of think about, right, what can I do on the day that's quick and really tasty, sort of thing. So the smoker might not be an option, but I'm thinking.
You could have probably.
I'm trying to think of,
Couldn't you get L to put it on the night before or something and just do it overnight?
Isn't that breaks the man code? You don't let anyone else touch your smoker.
Well, when are you getting home? Are you getting home the morning of the Halloween party?
No. We are coming back the night before.
So then that's when you chuck on the pork butt and wake up to it.
It's whether I have time and stuff like that. And plus, we're going to have a date night the night before,
pork
so I want to be focused on that.
In. Pork butt in. Come on.
I'd have to find a pork butt as well, actually. I still haven't got a butcher nearby, so I need to have a look at that. But anyway, that's enough of my week. PAX, let's talk.
So yeah, PAX every year is kind of like the highlight. The last 2 years, so I think the first time was just, so yeah, obviously pre-COVID. So I think this is the third one after COVID, or BC, it was AC after COVID. Yeah. And the first one just seemed about the people. Like, it was kind of all about getting back together and just getting thing. May not have been the best PAX in regards to what was there, but it was the greatest PAX in regards to people. They kind of went a bit crazy when it came to content creators. Like, there was so many amazing people there, so it was really cool. So for me, it was cool. Last year seemed a bit like it was very tech heavy, like to the point where it was almost borderlining on like a whatchamacallit, on a tech swap meet, where you just seem to have so many tech brands. And last year for me was mayhem, absolute mayhem, because I had so many interviews. I had like all these meetings with all these different tech companies and stuff. And at one point then I went for a beer with Xbox Cowboy. And I literally sat there for an hour and had a beer with him. I'm like, I've never felt more happy to have a beer in my life. Like, I've never been so desperate for one. So it was kind of nice, because this year we did the same. We kind of caught up for a beer when both of us didn't have meetings. But this year was very game heavy, but not the games that you would expect. So quite often you'd have Ubisoft would be there, you'd have part of a Bethesda, you would have a really big Dolva Digital thing, where this one seemed to be more of the indies. So I actually wrote...
Yeah, I did see the ad. I saw like a poster thing saying the rise of the indies or something.
Yeah, that was from my website. So that was my article.
You. Oh, okay.
That was my article.
Those adverts, those paid adverts are obviously hitting true.
I didn't pay for it, man. I didn't pay for it. Just good to see you don't read my shit. Bye, Felicia. But it did feel a bit like the rise of the indies. So quite often when you would walk down the aisles and stuff, in other years, the booths were normally bigger. They normally had like a lot more to them. And to be fair, when you were walking through, you could pretty much walk through 4 deep. And then when you had some of these brands that would throw stuff out in the crowd would go around them and block that entire entrance or that entire walkway.
Yeah.
There were times where you actually had 2 and it would literally block off 90% of PAX. So the only way to get around it was to either go out and come in another door. So it was a bit of a nightmare. Where this seemed to have a lot more room. The booth seemed to be a lot bigger and more spacious. There were still a few tech companies that were there that were throwing out stuff. And when that happened, they did block a fair bit of it, but you could still get around it. But it was weird because you had the indies. And normally the indies, I can be playing a game. You can be playing a game at the one behind me. And one person can fit through. And even when they do, you're like, ooh, touch my butt, kind of thing. Where this time they just seem to be more spacious. So the whole front of the building was indies. A little bit down this way was indies. And then what they actually had was they had a New Zealand component, which had about 12 or 14 indies there. And then they also had another component was Southeast Asian, so from the Philippines and Thailand and different things like that also had their own game thing. So that's why I call my article The Rise of the Indies, because it did seem like it was very indie heavy. And the weirdest thing was normally Ubisoft is a mainstay there. Obviously we had Assassin's Creed launch, so I was like, yes, they weren't there. So the 2 big names that were there...
What?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
They weren't there at all. So the only people... So Bethesda was there in a very small thing where they had like a paint and sip, where you had to book, and you know those paint and sip party things where you do that?
Yeah.
They had that where you'd have to do the painting was like a Bethesda style kind of thing. But to the point where I got the email about that, by the time I read the email, which was only 3 minutes after sending it, it was already booked out. So obviously it went out to a number of people as well. So I was like, okay, cool, that works. but they weren't there. The only big ones that were there were Nintendo, and there was Sega. So Nintendo had a whole heap of stuff where they were showing their stuff, but had a massive store. Sega was showing this new Sonic game, but you couldn't film in it, you couldn't take photos in it. If they saw you take your camera out, it was like, no. Like Xbox Gamer Dad at one point there was playing it, and I got a message, so I took my phone out, and literally just was looking at it. And some guy goes, sorry mate, can you put your phone down? I'm like, sorry? He's like, oh, you can't take photos. I was like, I was just reading a message. And I showed him, and he's like, just put your phone away, it's just easier. I'm like, yes, sir. I'm like, damn, son. And to be fair, though, I was watching Xbox Gamer Dad play it, and it just looked like a Sonic game. Like, it could have been off the Mega Drive. Like, you wouldn't have noticed. But I'm like, cool. What?
You see, don't get me wrong, right? Okay, I used to love playing the Sonic games back when we had a Mega Drive.
Yeah.
Because obviously, back in the day, you know, we were limited on options for gaming.
Yeah.
But, like, looking at it now, it's just like, God, I don't think I would play it nowadays. Sort of thing, just because it's just side scroll. It's just like, To be fair, it's like I'm amazed that Eddie enjoys playing like classic old Mario through, because there's an emulator now on the Switch.
Oh, that's cool.
So you get you've got like a NES emulator and an old Game Boy emulator and everything else. So he's played like lots of the old Mario games and stuff like that. This is before we bought him Mario Maker. Or whatever it was called. I can't remember what it was called. Because Mario Maker has all these old style levels anyway, so now cool. He does that, which is fine. But, you know what, it's just... Sonic... I get it was good at the time, but it's kind of obviously it then had a cult following, and then it made its own games and went off in a very different tangent. Yeah. Rather than just the side scroll, but yeah.
But I think what's hard too, though, is you've got to remember too, though, at that age... And based on now, we're very much spoiled for when it comes to gaming. Like, some of the Assassin's Creed things where I'm like, I wonder if I should get it. And there's silly things like where people have written like, it's only like 90 hours or 120 hours. I was like, bro, who has 120 hours to put into it? Like, there are going to be people that are going to play it and love the fact that it's 300 hours, 400 hours, 8 hours, whatever. But I'm like, not everybody has the time to play. Like, is it a fun game? Like, does it matter if it's 8 hours? Because even if it's 8 hours, you can play it 3 or 4 times and do different things. But I'm just like, that's the thing that kills me about these complaints. It's like, oh, it's only 8 hours long. Bro, you're not going to play it for 8 hours.
It's hilarious. It's hilarious when people when people say, oh, I'm going to go play it. It's like, I haven't played any Magic Arena now.
Damn.
I've done Magic Arena in nearly about, I want to say about 6 months now, maybe even longer than that. So, because I just do not have the time. I have not got any time.
Yeah.
You know, it's like we've started with the Warhammer, and I haven't even got time for that sort of thing. So, you know, obviously with my job switch up now, sort of thing. So I need to find time in a day, to fit in hobbies, you know. Sort of thing.
And that is the thing. It is weird where like people, and I'm like, I know for some people this is going to be a major thing, but if a game is say 15 hours and you want it for 120, I'm like, okay, I can understand that you want something a bit longer. But if the game is solid, does it matter? Like if you have a ball playing it for that 8 hours, it doesn't matter whether it goes for 8 hours or 30 hours. The difference is if it goes for like 120, 300 hours or whatever it is, chances are I'm just not going to get to experience as much.
Yeah.
Like, no offense.
Pretty much.
Every person that I know has that game that they go to that's like kind of like their guilty pleasure. They've played it 100 times. They may not have ever clocked it, but they just keep playing it because it's fun. I know Flaming Scott has Age of Empires 2, where he just plays that when he just wants to tune out. I'm like, I'm sure you've got a game like that.
Oh yeah, I mean, I have to say personally, the Civ games were my favourites. You know, sort of thing.
Yeah.
You know, I'd lose myself for a couple of hours in Civ. And to be fair, I do love this the Warhammer 40k version called Gladius, which is basically Civ, but it's based in Warhammer 40k. And it's like, great, you know, I've got all the things, so I just play that, you know, when I've got a bit of extra time, sort of thing.
But that's the thing.
Yeah, I can't envision having like the ability to go, you know what, I'm going to sink 300 hours into this game.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, where am I going to find that time? Like, seriously, where would I find that time?
For these hardcore gamers that are going to sit there and pump out this amount of time. I'm like, cool. Like, that's good for you. But I'm like, I don't think it's that necessarily, or I don't think that should be whether the game is good, bad, indifferent. Like, that seems weird. But, yeah, but that was just my little gripe with some of those things. But, yeah, no, Ubisoft wasn't there. Weirdly, Cult of the Lamb was there. So Cult of the Lamb was the Melbourne-based game that kind of blew up.
Oh, I've seen.
Where you're a lamb and you get
They've recently
shit.
just done their first DLC for it or something, haven't they?
Yeah, but it was weird though. So they had like a small little cute altar and a game there. So you kneeled on the altar and played. Really cool idea. But most of their thing was merch.
Yeah.
So the guy that I actually know, Doug, who works for one of the PR agencies, I'm like, is there something back there? He's like, yeah, no, that's where we're keeping all the merch. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah. He goes, I pretty much had this here with one person, and then I was going to go do a couple of other things, and he goes, and I haven't left here. On the Saturday, I went to him, and he's like, oh yeah, I've wasted like, I think we've gone through like 40k worth of merch. I'm like, I know the game's good and fun, but man, we need to get some Dorks Down Under merch because that's ridiculous.
I'll tell you what, when we blow up as big as the Cult of the Lamb has, yeah, I'll
That is
consider
true.
it.
That's true. That's true. But yeah, no, but it was very bizarre. And even then, so they had quite a few little brands. So they had MSI had one, then MSI and Intel had another one. So they had their laptops here, and then they had like where they showed more of their desktops and had some gaming. And then there seemed to be like little brands, like some that we hadn't seen, like Deep Cool, who does like the fans. There were Power A, who do like little controllers that are normally colourful or they have like special editions. There was, and then there was a couple that seemed to join forces. So there was Next Level Racing, which do a lot of racing games, like the racing actual full like sit-in things, and also plain ones. But then they were attached to another booth. Then they had. But it seemed like a lot of brands had come together to get one booth and then just kind of deck it out. So it was really weird in regards to that. And then they weren't really doing like they would normally with tours and stuff because it was more just about the fans. And that was one thing about the PAX this year is other years it's quite media friendly where there's going to be people there, like they're going to be senior executives or people like that you can talk to. Where here it just felt like it was a gaming convention. Which isn't a bad thing because I feel like the last 2 years, though I've loved it and I've had an absolute ball and I've been busy as hell, it just hasn't quite been the same.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it was kind of nice. And I think for a lot of people that went, it was great. For a lot of media that went, I found even a few of them had actually said, they're like, man, it wasn't as good as I remember. It wasn't as good as the last couple of years. And to be fair for them, I think it wasn't. Oh. Am I here? Did I lose?
Yeah, you're there. You're back. It's all right. Yeah.
I'm just joking with you now. But yeah, no, it felt like it wasn't. It was more a gaming event, and it was focused on gaming, which isn't a bad thing. And I know I spoke to a few media people and stuff, and some of them didn't come all 3 days because they didn't think they needed to. Some of them had a few things in the morning and then didn't stay in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And for that thing, I was like, that's not a bad thing because I do feel like that, in theory, the media should be taking a day. It doesn't need to take over 3 days. Some years, for me, I've had meetings for the whole 3 days and it just hasn't happened. But for others, but this year it seemed like I probably only had like a handful of meetings. But one of them was hella exciting. So I have released the article, but I haven't actually promoted on things yet. But I was actually got to play board games with two amazing designers, so award-winning designers. So we had Phil Walker-Hardy, who did like Sushi Go and a number of other things that are just ridiculous. And then the other one is Matthew Dunstan, who does Elysium and a few other things as well that I can never remember. Because everything that I read had what they're famous for, but I'm like, I know him from, so like Phil Walker-Harding does Brandon Park, he does a number of other things, plus he's also got his brother who's also a board game designer that has done things like 01 and 11Zs and different things like that, so it's kind of weird, but I got to sit down with them and play their new game, and though we were meant to have an interview, that ended up falling back a little bit because we didn't quite get the chance to do that. But I must say, man, Phil Walker Harding, like you meet him, he's this kind, genteel man and soft-spoken that just seems like a normal person. Like, it's the weirdest thing. Like, if you were to sit down with him at like a games place and something and be like, oh, do you mind if I jump in? Nice, really good old man. You think he's great. And then you find out that he's probably won more awards than friggin' Michael Phelps. You're like, what? And then with Matt Dunstan, it was weird because his game was... So he's done Elysium, which is probably his biggest thing. It's won a few awards. But it's like almost like a TCG style thing where it's got a lot of text and it's all very... Obviously, it's all contained in the board game, but it's that kind of game where you're drafting and you're trying to play different things. And this one literally had like 30 words on the whole thing. Yeah, so it's a game called Perception. And the idea behind Perception is that, say, for example, so there's 4 of us playing, we all get 3 cards each. And on those 3 cards, they're actually crime photos. And then when you get the cards are kept in what looks like this manila folder, and then it gives you a brief rundown, and it says like, the rock band was at their album launch, and what ended up happening was the lead singer got poisoned with arsenic.
Okay.
And then what happens is on all the cards it has crime scene photos, and then one of the cards also has like a bit of an autopsy saying arsenic roughly takes 5 hours to kill somebody. We know that it was put in one of the drinks. Such and such has only had 4 drinks in his system, which meant he only had 4 drinks. And then you've got to have a look at the photos and say who it is. But the problem is I can't show you my photos. I can only describe things. So I'm like, in my photo, I can see the girl who, based on the names of these people, is Jill, who's the bass player of the thingo. He's handing her a champagne.
Okay.
And then so you kind of explain that, but then you kind of like go, that doesn't tell me nothing because I'm trying to find out who poisoned him, but every one of us has a photo handing him a drink. So then you start having to look deeper. So you're like, okay, which way is the sun going? Where's the shadows? Where's this? Okay, so if this is here and he's holding the blue drink, but that happened according to the manifesto at 2 o'clock and he died at 9, then it couldn't have happened then. And there's like all these things, and this is back and forth. And it is a game that when he first explained it to me, I'm like, this doesn't seem like one of his games. And I'm like, how much fun can this be? But it is a hell of a lot of fun. And there's like little things that you can see. You can see little shadows that cross certain things at the same time. And you're like, oh, they're linked kind of thing, but you can't show it. So it's also about the other players and making sure the other players aren't complete morons that are explaining things. You're also asking questions like, when was he holding the blue drink? And it's like, well, I haven't got a photo of him with the blue drink, but the red drink was when the band was signing autographs, which happened at 3. Okay, so it's not that one. And then there's all these different things. And unfortunately, we only had about 10 minutes to play it because we played Phil Walker Harding games for a lot longer. But it was a hell of a lot of fun. But that experience and just getting to meet these guys, getting to meet these like legends of Australian board games was just so much fun and so cool. But it was good. So I do have Spellbook, which is Phil Walker Harding game, where you pretty much have to. So you're a wizard, you've got a familiar, and you've got 7 spells, and these 7 spells give you buffs throughout it. You have to draw like ruins and tokens of different colours to make these spells.
Yeah,
I had a ball with it. I think it's great, and it was kind of funny because at the end, Phil's like, I honestly thought you weren't sure what you were doing because you just kind of kept collecting and you didn't really do anything. And then he goes, and then about halfway through the game, you kind of just unleashed hell and went boom. He goes, at the rate we were going, if we got to finish that, you would have cleaned us up. I'm like, yes. Supplier told the designer told me I got it so right, and I was playing well. I'm like, yes.
That's what you want to hear.
I am the smartest man alive. Well, not really, but yeah, and it was cool. And then you had people there like Aftershock who make games, and they actually, one of the guys, Barry, who I called a douchebag, because he does water cooling, so he does all the bending of the pipes and stuff.
Yeah.
But he's doing it on stage. So he's got this little stage with a camera above him while he's sitting there doing these perfect bends, and he obviously made Nick Kyrgios his own PC. He made this other blonde content creator whose name I can never remember. And he was making it on stage.
Okay.
But if you've ever done this, so what you've got to do is you've got to heat it up, then you've got to bend it. And if it's too hot, it'll just fold. If you overbend it, you can't bend it back because it will snap. And he was doing it on stage, making it look like it was as easy as tying your shoelace. And it's not that easy. And it fucked me off. So I called him a douchebag. To his face. Like, you're a douchebag. And Barry's like, thank you, I think. I was like, bro, your talent just annoys me and frustrates me so much. Because he was so good at it. But he was doing it on stage like it was nothing. And he's like, at my work, I've got like this massive desk and with this and this and this. He goes, and all I could bring here was a heat gun and a few things. I'm like,
that makes life so much harder.
I know, but no. But yeah, and I did have my top 5 indies, which were kind of cool. As well, because it was weird this year. Unlike many years, I played a lot more indies.
Yeah. Well, it's good to sort of. I mean, I've never been to a PAX yet, sort of thing. So hopefully next year we'll be doing it. I'll be coming along and being your cameraman for you.
Why not? Why not? Be rude not to.
It would be rude not to. But yeah, about to say it's just. I've always found, I enjoy going to
conventions.
I go into conventions and stuff like that sort of thing, especially when I was going to the Magic ones. Yeah, they were always great fun. So obviously I was turning up to play in the tournament, but that was only half the fun for me. I was
turning up to make numbers because I was horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible.
But I always enjoyed sort of just going along and sort of being able to, sort of meet people and interact and have good chats and conversations, and of course it was me walking around generally with my phone, use it for vlogging for the day as well, sort of thing. So,
but it is, and it is good, and that's the thing. And this is kind of that. And then obviously they have like giveaways and different content creators, so you can actually battle different content creators. So I actually, with Nick Tacular and Leisha, they were playing this game on this mobile. That's actually really cool. So what they were doing was they were having 5v5, and then based on where you ranked, would give the team a certain amount of points, and your team would win. So Nick Tacular, who's a friend of mine, said, Derek, come in my team. I was like, yeah, cool. And I must say, everyone's picking like Ferraris and Lambos and different things. And I'm like, screw it. I'm picking an old school Camaro. I'm like, American muscle, baby. And everyone's like, that's going to be horrible. But the turning wasn't great. The braking was actually all right, but the frontline speed was amazing. So I was able to
pretty much how a Camaro is,
yeah. So I was able to pull out the win for Nick Tacular's team, which kind of annoyed Alicia, which is a shame. But oh man, it's a lot of fun, and just being able to sit there and play games with people. Also, just meeting a lot of people that you've spoken to online or you've had dealings with over the internet and stuff like that. It just makes it that little bit more fun. And yeah, and then we got home on Monday and being all a little bit depressed, and then on Thursday I already went to another event.
Oh yeah.
So this is called Zero Latency. So they were going to come to PAX, and they ended up delaying it due to the fact that they were launching a new game called Outbreak. Okay. So I went to this back in 2019, just before COVID, and what it was you had headset, you had the VR, you had a backpack on, and then you had this like what looked like a gun. And what would happen is, based on where you were and based on a number of cameras and some things on the floor, they'd be able to tell where you are, and you'd be sitting there shooting real zombies. So it's like VR, but you could actually walk around, which I found kind of cool, especially because VR normally makes me puke my guts out because I can't do it when it's moving and I'm not moving. It just throws off my equilibrium. But they had a new one called Outbreak, where what you actually did is you actually walked around, and now you no longer need backpacks. It's just the VR headset that is able to remotely send the headphones and then like this gun. And we played this one Outbreak. There was literally just hordes of zombies coming at you while you run around and do different things to find a cure. Hell of a lot of fun. And I must say, it's a team of 8. I think it's about $40, give or take. Next time you're down, man, we're going to get some done together. because it's just so much fun. Like, it's literally headset, VR, and a gun, and you're just going around shooting things.
I do. We've done one game as a family. And he was at up in Auckland, and that was an absolute blast.
Oh man,
it was a bit expensive, but it was worth it for a sort of a nice day out.
Oh yeah,
sort of thing.
That's the thing though.
Yeah,
like
I always love going to Laser Quest and all that crap anyway, sort of thing. So that's right up my alley.
100%. But yeah, no. So yeah, PAX was gamers PAX. I feel like is the best way to do it. Where there was still a little bit of tech there, but to be fair, the tech wasn't the major thing. I think, and that's why I called my article "The Rise of the Indies," because I felt like there was a lot of people that literally were there for the indies, or because there wasn't any big names there. There was only a few tech companies plus obviously Nintendo and Sega. Once you played those a couple of times, you're like, what else am I going to do? But they had all these great indies, and the amount of growth these indies have had is insane.
Yeah, that's one thing down here in the Southern Hemisphere is that indies seem to take up, they seem to get further, and then potentially are breaking into the mainstream. Like obviously, like Cult of the Lamb, for example.
Yeah.
That took off like a bat out of hell.
Yeah,
sort of
really
thing.
did.
And that, the fact is that it's all across all the platforms now. So it's on. You can play it on PC. You can play it on Xbox. You can play it on. You can play it on whatever one you want.
But that was the weirdest thing about that game.
The fact is that it blew up, and the fact that if they're selling 40K's worth of merch in one day, I mean, yeesh, are they classed as indie anymore?
That's the thing,
I don't know if they can be.
But they were like an indie studio that became something bigger. And I think that's just testament that you don't necessarily have to have the biggest game, the biggest thing, but if you've got a captivating game that also has a lot of fun. Like, if you think about it as well, Fall Guys isn't necessarily a AAA game, but it is a slightly bigger studio. But here's a game that was, the idea and premise behind it seemed crazy. And I even said this to Doug, who also did that. I'm like, this is a game that if you can get enough people there, and if you can build the hype on this game would go bananas.
Oh, yeah.
And it did.
I tried. I mean, to be fair, I think this is the issue: is that the Fall Guys wasn't aimed at me, and wasn't aimed for me, sort of thing. I tried it, and I understood what it's all about. I have a bit of a head on me. I get it, but it was just like, hang on, I jumped, and it just didn't jump as far as it should have done.
Yeah, that's the hardest thing.
You end up getting really frustrated playing it. So it's like, for God's sakes. But the fact is that you have these people who become like pros. It's like, how do you become a pro in this game?
Yeah, but there are tricks, man.
18 hours a day on this game. Oh God.
Don't get me wrong. I thought the game was great, but even then, I'm like, I think Numbers, myself, and a few of us played a whole heap of it, and it's a hell of a lot of fun. But yeah, like there are times where you're running and something random will happen, or you just can't time it right, or if you time it, you have to stop to let the thing go past. But then if you do that, people run to the back of you, push you into it, and it flings you off anyway. So you're like, there's so much. But I think it was the randomness that people liked.
The best indie game that I think, but to be fair, right, the best indie game I think has been a big hit so far was Among Us, right? But if the pandemic wasn't here, because it came out the first year of the pandemic, and everyone jumped on it because it was a good way for content, it was good for all these gaming content creators to be able to play a game and socialise and have a bit of fun with it, sort of thing, and they all had their big moments and big times to shine and be devious and all that jazz. So it just allowed interaction, and everyone really enjoyed it because it was a good way to play and to interact and talk with other people.
Weirdly, I said that. My exact words I'm like, I feel like the best thing about Among Us was when they released it, because it was very, very perfect timing, and it was amazing timing. It's
like, I enjoy playing it, but I only enjoy playing when I'm playing with like when we've done it occasionally with all the Aussies.
Yeah.
And we've all got together, and we've all the Magic guys, and we've all got together, and we've all played it together. That's been hilarious.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. Especially when, like, I think, remember the last time I did it, I think I got it, and then I absolutely bluffed my way through it.
Yeah.
Because I was the imposter, and bluffed my way through, and the other guy was doing all the killing, but I was just being helpful. And,
and didn't you actually dob in your... I'm pretty sure You dobbed him in at one point.
I think I did because
Like
I was
towards
throwing
the-
suspicion off myself.
Yeah, like I think it was towards the end. So Jordan did his perfect thing where I think it was like before the end, and wasn't much there. And then I think there was only a few people to kill or something. And Jordan's like, I know. He's like, I saw Jeff do it, or whoever it was. And then obviously everyone went, fine, we'll believe Jordan. And then Jeff got voted, and he was the imposter. And then for some reason, the next round, Jordan killed somebody, and everyone's like, I saw Jordan do it. He's like, and then Jordan's like, no, it's not. I was the one that got Jeff out. How would you do this? And everyone's like, that's true, and voted for the other guy. And then Jordan won. I was like, mother.
It was just that I was powered by beer that night. I was going full tilt, and I was like, "How dare you accuse me? I got the last guy. I got him out. You being all quiet." So I remember that.
It was comedy gold. It was comedy
people
gold.
People were raging at me at the end. They went, "How are you these British bastards?"
But it's true though, and that's the perfect thing about these games, and that's the one thing about these indie games that are really fun. And I mean, as I said, I did my top 5, and to be fair, there could have been probably 40 honourable mentions, and I picked them for different reasons. But I must say, the game that I'm most looking forward to, weirdly, is the game that I put it as number 1, which is Box Night. And Box Night just looks like this kind of like little old school side scroller. The idea is 5 o'clock on a Friday, the bell goes, you put a box on your head and what looks like 2 rulers together, and then you fight zombies as you go up levels of this building to fight the big boss. And it may not have been the best game there, but it was just the game that I'm like, bro, I could play this. Like, I could play this every single day.
It doesn't require law. It doesn't require you have a great understanding of the world. No. The fact is, you've got a box on your head and you've got rulers. And then
you can upgrade your box and upgrade your rulers and stuff like that. Yeah. And there was a game that was there that feels a lot more polished. So there was a game called Broken Roads by Drop Bear Games. That was originally there in the online version. So they actually did PAX Online in 2020. Where I was actually part of it as a speaker. We actually did one of the panels there and stuff, and you pre-recorded it, and then you submitted it to them, and then they did it.
Yeah.
The weirdest, most random thing, but it was a lot of fun. But it's kind of like this XCOM style game where you obviously click and you move and you take it in turns, but it's set in a post-apocalyptic outback Australia. Which, to be fair, just kind of feels like outback Australia.
Yeah.
But the thing that I love about it is I love XCOM, and it's a great game like that. But just these Aussie, like they've got the most bogan Aussies saying the most funny random things, and it just makes you feel happy. Some of these other games you're like, oh, this feels like this could be a big American game, or this feels like this. This 100% just feels like a good Aussie game. And it looks like a lot of fun. The graphics on it are a lot better than what I remember it in 2020. I feel like they've gone back and polished it a lot.
It's really cool.
Yeah, it does.
I just thought I'd pull it up while you were chatting about it. It looks really slick.
Yeah, it actually is.
Like it.
It looks really good.
My nan called it the end of time. Dad called it a waste of good beer. Me, I called it another day in bloody paradise.
So pretty much my top 5 was On Point, which Richie feels like Point Blank, but in VR, which I had a lot of fun playing, and I like the idea of having Point Blank, so you see the gun and you can shoot, except for the fact that it made me feel nauseous as hell. They had Broken Road, which I've already spoken about, and there's this one called, I'm going to say Alluri, which is this platformer game, but you're a red panda. But everything's but it's beautiful. So everything's hand drawn, and what it actually does is you've got like these different encounters, these fun puzzles, and you get to find these secret areas while you're this cute little red panda battling things along the way. But what it also does is it also teaches you about endangered species, because obviously the red panda is starting to get more and more endangered as time goes on. Yeah. So it's actually quite educational. But because it's so fun and
How dare a video game teach you shit?
It's kind of
ridiculous.
The most annoying thing about it is it's fun as hell. And you don't realise that, but then all of a sudden you kind of like go, oh, that's kind of cool. But I played it as a single player because that's what they had it on, but you can actually play co-op. And I'm just like, it was a lot of fun. And then the other game was a game that I got bullied into playing. So Kelly, one of the girls that writes for me, she managed to get an interview with the designers and then also play a 45-minute like preview demo of this game and was obsessed with it. And it was literally called Copycat. And it's literally you adopt a cat, so you just pick one of 6 colours and then you just do cat shit. Which sounds random as hell. So like,
what do you mean cat shit? Like what?
You can walk around. You can pull the plate closer to you. You can knock stuff off tables, and obviously as it gets bigger, there's a lot more to it and stuff. But but it's so weird. Like when she explained it to me, I'm like, yeah, cool, I'll play that. And then I'd put that on socials, but I'm like, I'm not going to play a game where you just be a cat. Like this makes no sense. But it's actually a lot of fun. So you actually have like a granny there that's always trying to grab you. You can knock stuff off the table. You can be cheeky and you can put your paw up and drag like a chicken breast to yourself and run away with it. You can fly. That's not it. There's a glitch and it's the funniest thing. So you jump up on the couch, but when you jump up on the couch, you actually stand about a foot above the couch. And then as you walk, it just pitches you on the couch. But the problem is you can walk across the whole room, but you're just like 5 feet in the ground. So it's a fun little glitch that once you get onto it, it just kind of like jump onto it and then it just kind of raises you a little bit. But then as long as you're on that level, you can run around. But you can do silly things like you can go up to the toilet paper and just scratch at it. And just scratch it all down. You can go upstairs and it seems stupid. Like even the way I'm explaining it and I'm listening to myself, I'm like, it seems dumb. But it's so much...
I will say it is dumb, but the fact is that I've got Goat Simulator right next door to me right now. And I've played that many a times, and that's just stupid as well, quite frankly. But
it is, but
I can't
it's quite fun too in regards to the fact that it does seem like it is this game that I feel like, and the thing about it is it's the animation. So when they jump and you see how their paws go out, their ears come back and they land and different stuff. When they're like walking or running, how the actual paw actually bends back as they take a step back, like they do in actual cats. And it's the animation of this that makes it. But you can do all kinds of things. So you can like pinch bread off the top of the desk. You can knock stuff off. Like it feels weird. And even when I was playing it, I'm like, I really shouldn't be having this much fun doing it. But for some reason I do. And I don't know why.
Well, obviously you may be in a cat. You have an inner cat, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm highly allergic to them, so I hope not. But it was just incredibly weird in regards to just everything. And it was one of those things that I'm like, even when Kelly was going on about it, I was like, yeah, all right, Kel, whatever. Not thinking anything of it, just thinking, yeah, cool. This is also one of her first interviews and her first kind of like game review.
Oh, okay. So I figured, maybe she's got a bit wrapped up in all the oh God, I got an interview. I've done this. And he's like, oh, well done, good girl. Well done. Pat on the head, well done.
But for some reason, and I don't know why, I was actually having a lot of fun. And it does make you feel like this cat. And I think because of that, it was probably the most surprising game. And it's probably why it ended up finishing on number 2. And then obviously I had Box Knights number 1, which I've already added to my wish list and I want to buy.
Okay.
But it's weird. And there were so many great games. Like I feel like if you went, you could play indies for the entire day and you'd have a different top 5. And there's so many different games out there. There was an amazing one whose name I can't remember that was a New Zealand-based one, and they were all dressed in like a traditional sort of like Maori style thing, and it was all about this female Maori warrior and things like that. I did get to play it for a little bit, but not much. The problem is it kept glitching out quite a bit, so it was kind of like a bit like. But I do feel like the animation on it, the visuals on it was absolutely stunning, and I feel like it is going to be a good game once they polish it a little bit more. But I don't know what it was, but it did seem to just not seem to work on that weekend. And they did say that they had it working and it was all good, but every time I played it or was watching someone play it, it would just be like, yeah, no, I don't want to work now. And you're just like, damn it, because it had so many legs. But it's so good to see so many studios coming up and releasing these games. Like, I reckon there probably would have been 90 to 100 indie games there.
Yeah.
Of all different things, from all different genres to... Some people were very, very ambitious with what they were doing. And then, like, you had, like, Copycat, who only had 2 people, but they had produced this game that was really highly polished, really beautifully done. And I'm like, man, I want to be smart and make games, but I'm not going to.
Oh, well. I think, actually, that's probably a belter place to leave it there for this week's podcast. I think that's a beautiful note. It's all tied up as a lovely little bundle you've done there.
That never happened, so that was a happy accident.
That was a very happy accident. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, what we'll do is quickly do the outro, which is please make sure you like, follow, subscribe. You can find us available on all good podcast software and websites. If we're not, please comment. Let us know where you enjoy your podcast so we can make sure we are available on your favourite platform.
Okay, and if you somehow listen to it, but we're not on your favourite platform, how'd you listen to us? Tell me it was the analytics from Spotify that Jordan was talking about earlier.
Could be, you never know. But anyway, we want to say a big thank you to all our recent subscribers and listeners and all our existing ones. Obviously, this is episode 51, or season 2, episode 34, and you nearly messed that up there. We want to say a big thank you for all the way down here from New Zealand and in Australia. Yeah. Peace out, guys. Have a good time.
That is.